Hey guys, welcome to the new episode of Fullfunnel Live. Thursday evening here in Europe and morning in North America. So welcome everybody. As promised, today we are going to chat about holistic attribution, how to measure B2B marketing and make the right decisions about what works and what doesn't. And for this specific reason, I invited my friend Steffen Hedebrandt, who is co-founder and at the same time CMO at Trim Data, end-to-end digital analytics. So we're going, this is a hot topic. Everybody knows the problems in B2B marketing attribution, right? There are a lot of conversations happening on LinkedIn. The problem is that you rarely see practical examples, right? There are a lot of conversations, but there are actually no examples, no solutions, right? So we want to make it super practical. We want to share with you live examples, and we want to cover the most problematic questions when it comes to B2B marketing reporting, including how to combine offline and online touches in your ultimate report, right? How to measure the full sales cycle length from the first touch to the contract signed, right? So you'll see the full cycle and basically how to create an ultimate revenue report. Steffen, thanks a lot for joining me.
Thank you, Andre. I'm really looking forward to this discussion and hopefully can shed some lights on what's actually possible to map an attribute and where do you need to use other methods than an attribution method.
And a lot of folks already joined us live. So as always, guys, would love to ask you to share in the chat where you're all joining us from. I'm again hosting this from Spain. You're in Copenhagen, right?
Steffen? Correct. Yeah, it's a bit more north than you, but I was actually in Spain just this weekend, so I haven't been too far from you.
We have James from Newcastle. Was a good night for you yesterday, James, right? I'm referring to games to the game against Paris Saint-Germain. Davida from London, Kajal from New Delhi, Lars from Boston. Cool.
Pretty much cover most time zones already.
Yeah. So again, happy to see our international community. And you guys, you are very welcome to share your questions as well in the chat. We make sure to cover everything. We have also captured all the questions that you submitted when you sign up for the session. And if you want to join the discussion live, then just click on the video question and I would call you and so you can chat with us. So it's always about community. It's always interactive. So don't be shy. Feel free to ask anything. And that being said, let me share a story why I decided to host that episode, what actually triggered me to talk about that topic, right? This summer, I was chatting with a fellow VP of marketing who was complaining about the situation that has happened in their organization. They were running field events, and actually they created an event mostly for their existing customers. They were thinking about contract renewal, right? Because they have like 6-figure contracts, and for them it's really essential to keep, to retain these core customers. And they wanted to invite a few tier 1, tier 2 accounts, because then it kind of could be a social proof, right? They could meet with existing customers, so fantastic event for everybody. And what has happened, don't know if you have seen my post about this, but the point is that how leadership was thinking about this, and especially CRO. So they were thinking, okay, this is like all about leads and immediate expansion, right? So we basically meet with people, we sell. If I don't sell, then it's useless. Obviously, there wasn't immediate sales. They had 41 signups for that event, right? No direct sales. And the total spent on that event, total cost was around 15K. Now, what happened next? A week after everybody reviewed the event, the budget and pipeline, And the decision was, okay, let's cut off these field events. They are costly and they don't bring immediate pipeline. There wasn't immediate expansion, so they are useless, right? So let's avoid these events. But what happens later, right, with this and how that event triggered the revenue and pipeline, right? So the actually in 3 months, they were able, I mean, closer to the mid of September, right? So sharing the updates with you. They were able to renew contracts for 400K. And actually one of the accounts that is new logo, right, that belongs to tier 1, signed a deal which attributes to $265,000, right?
Wow.
But the craziness, right, and the paradox of that situation, nowadays nobody attributes that revenue and that renewal to that event, right? They look because, okay, these customers love our product so much, so they were supposed to renew the contracts anyway. And in digital analytics, the new customer was attributed to the brand search, right? So basically the decision is, okay, it was brand search, they booked a call, and what else? Nobody looks at the previous journey. And why I'm sharing all of this, because this is not a unique problem. A lot of organizations deal with bad attributions and as a consequence with bad decisions, right? So we collected a lot of questions from you guys, and one of the most common was, okay, how to see an impact on revenue of all offline and online touch points with target accounts and prove the efficiency of specific program. We partnered with Dream Data recently because we also want to see all of these interactions. We have our model. I also present this at the end of this conversation. But what I really like about Dream Data is that they basically give you that holistic overview, so you can combine all of these digital touch points and you can combine it with your CRM and with offline events, right? So I wanted also to ask Steffen to present how they measure this at Dream Data, right? So some behind the scenes, so you might see a real way of doing the appropriate measurement. So maybe let's start with that point.
Yeah, and I think it's an extremely good example you give there, Andre, of people being blinded by suboptimal measurement solutions. And I also think people underestimate very much how long time things take in B2B, which makes people sometimes lose patience. We put out some benchmarks last year with averages on customer journeys from our customers. And for our customers to win a B2B account, it took an average of 192 days. So more than 6 months. So those sales leaders that want to see revenue next week or next month, they will have to wait longer because things take longer in B2B. So I think what they should have established there for that conference would be to maybe have some proxy metrics that would define success rather than expecting sales pipeline to step right out of the conference.
That's for sure. I mean, lack of leading indicators, right? Lack of right metrics to track the outcome of specific event is one of the most common problems. So that's for sure. But again, I think what would be cool if we can look at some of your programs or maybe some of your examples, so you can share basically how to connect these dots.
Absolutely, and I'm maybe just explaining a little bit the basic functionality of what we could say in the theory you need in B2B. So in the ideal world, we will catch anything that touches an account journey from the first touch until the contract is signed and renewed again. And to do that, you typically need to have the CRM data, the marketing automation data, the CS data, the website data, the ad platforms data, review platforms, anything you can think about that touches your accounts. The problem then starts because all these things are actually data silos that are scattered all over the place. And some, some are connected, some are not connected. And the core functionality of the Dream Data, the tech side of the product, is that we extract the data out of all the silos, and then algorithms clean up the data and sort it by whatever account that it belongs to. So if Steffen and Andre is from the same account, we are not lost, but we are actually part of the same timeline. So that also means that it can be me who attended the conference and then went home to you and said, okay, let's sign a new deal with these guys. And then we'll still be able to see what's going on. So on the micro perspective, I can actually just open up here now. It's okay for me to share the screen, Andre?
Yeah, of course.
Now I just need to find the button in this tool I have not used before.
Yeah, small.
Here we are. Yeah, it was a small one. Here we go. So what we have here, it says journeys and companies. So this means that here we're looking at accounts, all the accounts that the Pied Piper here is aware about. And then I'm able to apply certain filters if I want to find a certain campaign, say SaaStr, for example.
Just quickly to ask, so these accounts are pulled from your CRM, right?
They can be pulled from our CRM, but it can also be constructed based on IP data if there's no indication in the CRM, or it can be the marketing automation software or whatever. So in our data mod, we built an account by account in there. So now I've taken the campaigns that we ran related to, you can guess where some of the demo data is coming from, but from SaaStr. So now I know all these accounts here, they had touches from SaaStr. So I can then click into it. And then I basically bring up a customer journey map of all the touches we are aware about from this account. So you see here, there's 17 people we know from this account.
And they're stored in your different systems, right? And marketing automation and your CRM. Okay.
Yeah. So the way to get the you can say the offline touches in, you can do in either two ways. You can use campaign functionality in the CRM. So saying this person was at our SaaStr event on this day.
So you need to add a custom field or node? Or...
you use, for example, Salesforce campaign.
Okay, got it.
And then let's try to zoom in a little bit here. Now I know when SaaStr was kind of relatively... So you see all these sessions here represents, all these dots represent sessions of something that took place. What I can do here is actually go and click attribution. And then I'll get timestamps of every single thing that happened. And this is really what you want to do if you want to understand an account journey. So down here on the left, you see timestamps. You see who did what. You see what the event was, if there was a landing page involved, if there was a channel or something like that.
And meetings, sorry, I just saw there was meetings. Is it captured from the calendars of people? So let's say your sales team booked a meeting with that specific person. So it's been populated to...
Yeah, so it's from the CRM system, but it's, in principle, yes, this person had a meeting with someone from our company.
Cool.
So if now I search for SaaStr here, you see here SaaStr Europe. The event was event attended, and it has a timestamp. So those touches, they get into this customer journey map, which we had out here in the overview. Oh, I clicked the one too many. Let's go here. So all these touches are what we knew at the point of time when they became new business. And then you can say, well, do we then know if it's important that they went to this event or not? Well, here you'd need an attribution model to actually help you out. And Andre, stop me if I'm getting too geeky too fast.
No. That's super interesting. So what I wanted to ask you, you're absolutely right with attribution. So I was thinking about this particular account, right? So just to make it also useful for folks, right? Let's imagine you had a lot of touch points with that account, right? From the first contact, which was in January, to the moment when you signed a contract with that account. Now I'm wondering, and I believe that could be a common question from both marketing and sales leaders, right? From our perspective, it absolutely makes sense that all these activities influence the buying process, right? This is kind of the nurturing model. This is a visual demonstration of how that account was nurtured until they were ready to book a demo with you and later to sign a contract. That being said, if we'll switch from the logical mindset to what actually happens in B2B organizations. Imagine if you are going to present it to the leadership, right? And they would question, okay, so no, I don't think that all these activities had impact on the journey, right? Or like that mindset. No, maybe that's just because of the last events after, and what was before doesn't really important. Is there a way in that, like, let's say we're talking about holistic attribution, is there a way to prove that basically all these touch points were important?
Yeah, and that is where we need to go into a discussion of attribution models. But I would say before showing any kind of attribution model and how that impacts, then you have to think about that any attribution, any model you apply on a data set that contains only 3, 4, 5% of the complete journey is going to be misleading you. So before you can start thinking about attribution models, you should think about making sure that you've actually aggregated as much data as any way possible. And then you should also only care about applying attribution models to business results that matter. What I mean by that is looking at analyzing new business or what produced sales pipeline, or perhaps a bit earlier, high qualified demo calls or something like that. We're not interested in understanding the paths of crap that came through the pipeline. We want to understand real business results. So I'll try to show you here and talk you through kind of the different attribution models and why they matter. We can look at 2 different things here. If we start here, so you select a time period where you use, and then you select a business result. So say we're looking at this year's new business for this company. We can start out by saying, let's look at what was the first touch of all those 45 deals that we won. Look, okay, in this case, organic search was very important. Events was important. Paid search was important. Organic social was important. These were the actual touches we know of that started these journeys. Then if you want more detail, you can go down by channel plus source or source or campaign or whatever you want. But I wanted to, I will get to your question now, Andre. So when you have a lot of touches, then you need typically what is called a multi-touch model. And there's 2 you can choose, or there's 3 or 4 you can choose between, sorry. But the linear model is kind of the classic. Let's just assign equal value to every touch. But there you get into that situation which we just talked about, where you end up flushing down or you drown kind of high quality touches versus not high quality touches. What you want to be doing instead is selecting this attribution model that is called the data-driven model, which is a machine learning based model that takes every touch and try to remove it from every journey and try to put it back in there. So in the end, it tells you when people have bought from you, these were the touches that actually mattered. So it does the weighting for you. So meaning that if the events, if you selected the linear model, events might not look important at all. But as you switched over to the data-driven model, then it might come to the surface because it was actually a high quality touch point.
And is that the report that you were presenting? Is that the report that you can kind of pull off the platform to say, okay, so this were the let's say high quality touches that actually influence the buying journey?
Yeah, but here we can then get so now it's just channels, and that can be a little bit boring. So we can continue down the granularity path here to go, and let's add a little bit more volume as well. So we can go channel plus also. You see, it's not just organic search, it's on Google, or it's not just a newsletter, but a particular newsletter, sorry. You can also go to look at the specific campaigns that impacted the journeys. So a campaign could be a physical event, or a webinar, or like a live show as we do here today.
And I was wondering if I look at this from different perspective, because you're also CMO at your company, what are the most important reports you look at as CMO?
So in general, I think about a tool like ours, that the most important thing it can do is to help you make decisions, about what should you do more of and what should you do less of. And to simplify that, I think about things in kind of a bell curve, or like a normal distribution way. So I want to identify actions that are either clearly positive for us or clearly a waste of money. When it comes to paid ads, it's very easy to do both things in this in the same screen. So I'll show you that. Here we go. So right now I've selected Google search ads, but the methodology kind of remains the same across any paid media. I'll say last year to give some more data. So I can pull up a list of any campaign that is running. I can then, if you draw a line down through the middle here, that is on the left side is what you see inside of Google Ads or any ad platform. And on the right side here is the business results we help you see. So if we start from a cost-cutting perspective, I can go and I can share my campaigns where I've spent the most money. And then the next thing I could do is I can jump over here to see, did it produce a certain business result? For example, sales qualified leads and opportunities. Well, the campaign we've spent the second most money on has produced absolutely zero sales opportunities. So here's a negative outlier that we absolutely should be doing something about.
That's perfect example. And I'm just wondering, so if let's say, obviously, I mean, you are lucky you have built your own software to track this, but what if you don't have software like Dream Data? So what would be your way to develop, like you said, you need to have this multi-touch attribution, right? And you need to somehow prove the outcomes or the impact of your marketing programs and some sales programs. So what would be your, how would you develop this?
Yeah, so if I imagine I'm a place where a tool like this is not available, I would say the key question remains the same, and that is to prove that what you spend your time on is meaningful for your company. And if you're in B2B marketing, there's only one meaningful measure, and that is producing sales pipeline and revenue for your company. So you should become obsessed about explaining at least starting with a narrative of we do these things because we try to achieve these things, which means that the sales team sell more. Then how do you then prove this? Yeah, well, good question. I think there's a couple of free tactics out there that will cost you nothing. You can implement this kind of self-reported option on your website where you can ask your customers, where did you hear about us? You can have your salespeople starting every sales call with, I was just curious, how did you hear about us? Or when people sign a contract with you, you can ship them a mail asking, actually, where did you hear about us? So that could at least be one kind of input for you to start understanding where's demand coming from. I think we touched upon it a little bit, but then I think you should also try to establish a set of meaningful leading indicators of your activities having an impact. I think a good measure for many B2B marketing companies can be the amount of demo calls that gets booked, and then study the quality of the demo calls that get booked. If you're lucky with the demo calls, you can actually also track it back to the original activity that led to the demo call. But I think 9 out of 10 companies overestimate the accuracy of the last touch that led to the demo booking. When we have a demo call booked on our own website, there's an average of 5 touches involved. Mm-hmm. The last session is always direct because that's when they know us and they know we need to talk now. But that's pretty. And then what happens is that the CRM system say, thank you, there was a conversion. I'll book the last session as the original source for this demo call. And then all the marketing spend you invested in actually starting that 5-touch journey looks like a complete cost because it's not the last session. What would you do, Andre?
I think that that leads us to the discussion of are you going to find a solution that provides end-to-end analytics to your digital campaigns, right? Or are you going to simplify the model? If we are going, and I believe for a lot of companies, especially those that are dealing with like enterprise products and selling to enterprise segment, right? For them, ultimately, it's important to simplify the model. I saw a lot of questions, like people were asking, okay, how can we match, the first touch if that was first touch made by Google Ads, right? And then the contact was added by SDR because he was in his target list, right? How can we basically prove that marketing had first touch and initiated the journey? I think all of these conversations, when I was looking at questions that we gathered for this session, all of these questions are leading to the ultimate problem that's that is on the organizational level. It's all about making marketing and sales working in silos and then trying to figure out, okay, who initiated or who generated the revenue. So it becomes marketing source, sales source, etc. So if we'll zoom out for a second and look at this as business leaders, right? Honestly, does it really matter who generated the opportunity, right? It doesn't really matter. Marketing and sales functions exist to basically grow business, and revenue could be generated through new logos, through expansion with existing clients, through renewal campaigns, etc. Right? And basically, these teams should co-work. They should have joint playbooks, and for us, it's normal to have all bounds sourced revenue, everybody sourced revenue, if you will, right? And then what is really important, what you said, understanding that there are programs that have impact, right? And then there are high quality impact and low quality impact. And in that case, we usually love to establish leading indicators. So I would just share the way of thinking how to develop this holistic attribution. So let's say you don't have solution like Big Data. Number one is indeed developing the lowest hanging fruit is creating self-attribution. But self-attribution is not a silver bullet. It's not a panacea. Imagine Stefan or anybody who is listening to us right now will go to our website, to fullfunnel.io, submit work with us form, and then there is a question, how did you hear about us? You put internet, Google, LinkedIn. What am I going to do with that information, right? Even LinkedIn, okay, fine. But if we want to develop this very detailed attribution, LinkedIn, was it because some of you reached out to Stefan and Stefan recommended to reach out to us? Was it because of my post? Was it because of Vladimir's post? Was it because of our company's page post, right? Was it because of my comment to, I don't know, Gaetano Dinardi's post, right?
We tested the self-reported on 100 book demo calls on our own site. And then we wrote a blog post about it. And we found exactly what you say, Andre, that the good self-reported answer is a unicorn. It's like 1 out of 100 actually writes a very good story that you can use. Many people just wrote Google. And there's just, okay, did you do organic search? Was it like ad click? Which ad click? What did you search for? Like, it leaves it. You should do it because it's free and it can be an input, but you should be very aware of confirmation bias as you look through the answers, because you just look for the things you do and then you forget the 99 other things that didn't work.
Exactly. So my next point is, or at least how we were doing this before Dream Data, right? And how we usually do it with clients, because not all of our clients have like end-to-end digital analytics, right? Also keep in mind that most companies have problems with their tracking, right? So duplicates in CRM, not appropriate contact and companies match, and etc., which is completely another story. But again, so self-attribution, you can just get one input and it's not sufficient. What is also essential, to look at all the systems that you have in place, marketing automation. So for example, look at all the contacts that are available there, and then you can extract the points, right, when the contact was created. So this way you can really see the digital, or not the digital, but the buyer journey, right? Maybe not the full version of it, but at least it will give you a good sight, right? Look at maybe your sales automation, if there were any replies to sales, right? Look at the, normally calendars should be synchronized to CRM, so maybe there was some meetings scheduled, right? Or maybe if, usually if you attend the events, right, and you made some business contacts, you need to save, so when these notes were created. So this way you can see the initial points, right, of when you started to communicate with this account. So that gives you a good perspective. And
if we are on the hand-holding methods, you can also, like, you have a list of the accounts that you've won in a certain period, and then you can match that up against, let's say you ran lead ads, and then all the accounts that converted on the lead ads, you can see were they part of the same ones that actually ended up buying. And the same method as you mentioned when you've done field marketing and you have a long list of people that attended your events, you can at least take a look at the names and see if they were part of the accounts that you won over here. But it's a lot of hand holding and getting there.
Correct. And even with digital journey, you won't see all the passes, right? So the third one way, which is essential, doesn't matter if you have any, any solutions, it's customer research. If you are generating a lot of customers, which is in our case not the typical case, because our customers usually have ACV above 100K, and it's not the business where you generate like thousands of clients in a year, right? So but even if you generate a lot of clients, let's say if you are in a smaller ACV space, right, still you can distinguish or segment these customers by tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 by the revenue they generate, and prioritize customer research. Start with tier 1 and simply start asking, what triggered your journey? What attracted your attention to our company? Where did you consume the information? There was a question about how you attribute dark social. This is the only this is the only possible way, right? So people could mention, yeah, I asked in a community or whatever, right? Or I asked among my peers and they mentioned your product. That's only the possible way to do it. And then you holistically start gathering the points. Now, what Steffen was sharing in the digital attribution, right? The same way you could extract from the customers, right? And from your digital systems, you can extract these most important points, right? And also that's appear in self-attribution. At least you would, it's like the most repetitive answers, they would, what like we can call high quality touches, right? Because they're often represented. Could be high quality channels, could be high quality touches, doesn't really matter, but you can understand. So for us, quite often we see if, because we do also experiments, right? For example, then this is where we are going with leading indicators. Simple example, last week we were in London giving keynote at demand-based event, right? We spoke to people, right, who attended the event. Like 99% of people fit our ideal customer profile. Fantastic feedback about our session, which basically leads to, yes, we didn't sign immediately any contract, which is absolutely normal, right? But for us, that was the key point. Understand if like that activity that we did together with demand base, if that helps us to attract our ideal customer profile, right? And what is the feedback about our content, right? So these were leading indicators. Next, if any people would come to us and provide feedback and ask what do we do, how can we help, right? For us, that's exactly the indicator that tells us that in future pipeline might be generated, right? So that's really important. And based on this, we make a business decision. Okay, that absolutely worth to host these events together, right, with this specific partner. And by the way, if you guys would be interested, we also spoke to Demand Base and to Steffen and his team at Dream Data. So we're going to host one more event in Copenhagen in the beginning of the next year. So if you'd be interested, type plus in the chat and we'll share with you.
Yeah, I think, and I maybe just I totally agree with everything you said, but I think a very simple advice can also be just if you're in doubt whether something works, it probably doesn't.
Yes.
Like if you once you get experience and have been doing marketing for some years, it's kind of also you get a feeling of we did this thing, and then things start to happen and bells starts ringing. You know, okay, this is really good. Or you did something and absolutely no reaction. Then giving it more time is not gonna yield a bigger result. It's probably not gonna work. So it's also for marketers just to be cynical about, have we done something of high quality and are the initial reactions very positive? Is it, you know, as you said, 99% of the audience, the right people? Well, then it probably makes sense to continue to do these things.
Yeah, absolutely. And ultimately, there was a question, right, about how to develop this holistic attribution. Obviously, if you can afford end-to-end digital analytics and you can, and if you have accurate tracking in your CRM, right, then you're in a lucky position, so you can provide accurate reports and make more, let's say, data-driven decisions about what works and what doesn't. That being said, it doesn't exclude the essence of customer research. Still, you need to talk to people because the truth about their buying journey is you only able to hear when you talk to these people, right? No, digital analytics only represents the traces, right? And that's it. But they don't represent to you what triggered it or what influenced a specific decision. So that's why I always recommend to have the holistic attribution, and to make really data-driven decisions, you need to make sure that you have these three pillars, right? First one is self-attribution, because it, at least the repetitive answers, could give you a good idea of high quality channel, right? And then obviously you can also you can also see, right, these opportunities that are coming, and you can look at the conversion, right? What channels provide, or what programs provide better conversion, what programs provide like low conversion. In our case, actually, what is really ridiculous, the worst channel for full funnel business is organic search at Google. So companies that come and tell, we found you, you know, by searching like ABM vendors on Google, these are the worst opportunities we ever generate. And in our case, we even stopped to have discovery calls. So we do the qualification, I mean, through email, and quite often it just seems that it makes even no sense to have the discussion.
And this is probably where I can pitch in Dream Data a little bit as well, because you need, when you are analyzing your campaigns and activities, it doesn't help it rarely helps you to analyze which campaigns brought in the most leads. I'll just show it, because then it's very simple to understand. You actually want to jump to see kind of what are the campaigns that produce the most pipeline. So if you were to do an analysis here based on what produced the most MQLs, then it would say this dynamic search ads campaign that produced 21 MQLs. But as you'll see here, what happens as soon as I start to raise the bar of the quality here, let's go from MQL to SQL. Now dynamic search ads drop down to only 1. And let's see if that one were part of a campaign that was 0. So this is one of the big gains that our customers see when, like, sometimes they spend millions of euros per month on ads. And just by switching the ad spend from what produces MQLs to what produces sales opportunities, ends up producing a lot larger quality of leads for the sales team. So you go deeper into the pipeline with where you target your money, rather than just producing these early indicators, as you said. What do you call it? ABM agencies, or what was it you said, Andre?
Yeah, yeah. It's about ABM agency. Yeah. So we're getting, actually, it's quite interesting. We see so questions people start asking. This is really interesting one coming from Douglas. I'm curious if you have case study info for addressing CMO challenge of balancing budget between field marketing, product marketing, and core branding.
Yeah, I haven't seen any particular case studies here. Have you, Andre?
I don't have case studies. I can only share the way how, I mean, and honestly, we are not involved that much into budget planning with the majority of our clients, but I would just share a few cases where we were involved, right? The point is, first of all, it's always about prioritization and goals, right? It's just, again, we need to zoom out from the current situation to the bigger go-to-market strategy. What is really more important at that point, right? And in that case, you need to have, which probably would be good to share right now, you need to have a holistic report that basically shows you the impact on the revenue metrics. And by revenue metrics, I would quickly share this with you guys. So you might see my screen. This is kind of the holistic revenue report that we usually create, right? Which includes net new revenue, renewed revenue, and expansion revenue. By the way, do you see my screen? I forgot to ask.
Yes, I see it at least, Andre.
Yeah, then everybody should see. So even, I told you that from the business perspective, it makes no sense where the opportunities or revenue coming from, because marketing and sales actually exist to drive this revenue. I totally understand the environment, and that's why marketing always need to prove like the impact on revenue, and that this is not a passive function, right? So that's why we have SQLs, we have marketing source pipeline, but at the same time, we also track win rate, average sales cycle length, and ACV, because these metrics influence sales pipeline velocity. For companies with long sales cycle, and like Steffen was sharing, that their customers on average, their sales cycle length is 6 months at least, right? In our case, most of clients even have longer sales cycles, right? It's really essential to understand that no program would drive immediate revenue, right? But these programs, what you need to track is the impact on sales pipeline velocity, because sales pipeline velocity demonstrates the trajectory of your revenue according with your sales cycle length and current metrics, which means, like, let's say, if you generated 30 sales qualified opportunities, right, and your win rate is above or is around 30%, more or less, let's say you win 1 of every 3 opportunities, and your ACV is 50K, right, you can expect 925,000 in revenue, right, with according to your sales cycle length, which basically would be coming in 2 months, right? So that's the point on how you can present that impact. Now, to answer that question, right, product or what, you need first to evaluate if you need to invest more in product marketing. Obviously, you need to run customer research and also understand, get that feedback from existing customers, from existing community. Next, you need to look at metrics. What is really important? How our revenue metrics are changing, if we are winning more deals or if we are losing more deals, right? If our average contract value increasing or if it's decreasing, right? If we are generating more opportunities or we are generating less opportunities, if our sales cycle increases or decreases, right? Because based on this, we can start making meaningful discussions, right? Yeah. If, like, let's say, if we start losing more opportunities, right? What should we do in that case? What should be the right programs? If we experience churn, right, and a lot of key customers tell us that they are not going to renew contract or they selected our competitor because of lack of specific features or whatever, not fitting their needs, right? Then obviously the solution would be investing into this. If we are losing more deals, we need to talk to sales. We need to have a honest discussion about what's the reason. Maybe sales would tell you, okay, we're losing on the brand level. So we're not well-known brand, nobody knows us, they don't risk, even if they like, they don't want to risk, and they select more known brands, right? So that always lead to that case, and there is unfortunately no one-size-fits-all answer. So
no,
it always leads to this.
I think you touch upon a lot of very, very valuable stuff here, Andre, and I think it goes for any department that you should if any way possible, avoid thinking in a silo. So just sitting with yourself, trying to decide how should we distribute it. So if we're marketing leaders, then we need to make sure that our allocation of budget aligns with what are the problems, as you say, Andre, in the rest of the company. Are people too slow at buying, or are we too unknown? Well, then in this quarter, we might need to allocate budgets differently than in the last quarter, or if we're purely being measured on leads or a sales pipeline, well, we should put the money where we can impact that problem that we have agreed is the problem. So I would definitely go check around with the leaders in the organization if they agreed with whatever budget split I came up with.
Yeah, absolutely, because that's the only way to make the right decision, right? And the same is about channels. The same is about programs, right? As we said, okay, if our win rate decreased, what were the programs that, if we do a better analysis, right? What were the programs or channels that generated better opportunities, right? So that kind of solution helps us to make better decisions, but you need to track this report in a long time, so you'll see the fluctuations, the changes. Obviously, you should aim for better, right, changes. So which means you generate higher ACV, you shorten the sales cycle, you increase the win rate, right? And quite often that's enough to grow business, right? Instead of generating only new logos, because a lot of companies think, okay, this is like the most common mistake, saying, hey, I need more leads, right? And then everything is evaluated by leads. But okay, there is sometimes it's just enough to refocus and, let's say, focus more on tier 1 accounts, right? That could generate 20 times more revenue than a bunch of smaller companies that you can't close, right? So that's, but that leads us to the go-to-market strategy analysis. Was a good question from Gustavo. So let's cover this one. What differences do you see between demand gen strategies for low tickets versus enterprise?
I think we should, sorry. The first thing that comes to mind here, I don't know if you've seen it before, Andre, but Christoph Jans from Point9, a European investor, he wrote an article called 5 Ways to Build a $100 Million Business. And it's I linked to it in the answer to Gustavo there, but the difference, there's what I wanted to say, there is a very big difference in how big the tickets are. Because if, say, we are assigning accounts that are worth more than 100,000 euros per year, then we can do a lot of different very expensive things to convince them. If we're selling something that will cost $100 per year, well, it's a different set of tools we can use, because if we do anything that is expensive, we waste money every time we get a customer. So you really need to understand the math of every deal that you sign. When you're putting money into your go-to-market, are you getting more out, or are you spending more money than you're getting back? So yes, that would be my initial input. Yes, the tactics you use are very, very different depending on the size of the account that you're trying to go for. Andre, I'm sure you've seen a lot of things here as well.
Yes. And I mean, the difference, it's not, let's say the core difference that you need to realize, like in strategies for low tickets versus enterprise. In low ticket, you can set up, there would be a lot of commonalities, right? But just because the sales cycle is way shorter, right? And there could be an impulsive buy, okay, I would try this $15 product, right? Or like Netflix subscription, right? I would just sign up. If I don't like, I would simply unsubscribe. There is not that much impact on cost, right? People could just play with the product out of curiosity. So the demand capture and demand generation, they are very close, right, to each other. And obviously there could be differences in using the channels. So for low ticket, you can use like Product Hunt, right, and bunch of this different channels. While with enterprise, the reality is that you need to influence way more people, and you need to focus more on awareness and demand generation on the level where you change the mindset of people. A lot of people are simply not aware that they have a problem. So they have a specific problem, they have a specific process, there are jobs to be done, and they used to do the things for years the way they do now. Maybe it's not convenient, maybe it's not efficient, but they don't know that the process could be done differently, right? And you can't sell the product just by saying, hey, there is a software that could, solve this. They simply won't believe. And they simply won't realize that, they have problems with their process. So you need to change a lot of their mindset. And obviously, there would be a lot of people, let's say, if you are selling 500K software, right? There would be CFO involved where you need to justify the investment, right, and provide product ROI. There would be procurements that would evaluate you as a product, right? How credible is that product? There would be IT or cybersecurity department that would evaluate product integrations, product security, and a lot of other things, right? So a lot of people should be involved. And basically where I'm going with this, ideally, you need to create at least awareness among these people. So when the opportunity occurs, when you generate opportunity with that account, a majority of these people are already aware of you, or at least have heard about you, right? Because then the sales would go smoother, right? And the conversations with that account would be way more efficient. So that's just the most important advice I can share with you. And we can cover the last question that we got from Yash. As a smaller company, we are mostly concerned about SQLs. Most of our MQLs have major budget restrictions. So do our MQLs serve any purpose? What do you think, Steffen?
So maybe yes, you can help me understand the relation here. It's because at Dream Data, our funnel is, we're an inbound driven company. So the first thing that happens is an MQL. That's either a demo that is booked or a free sign up. If they fit our definition of our ideal customer profile, we count them as a sales acceptable lead. And then our sales pipeline, like the late stage, is called sales qualified leads. And then we have new business. And it sounds a little bit, as I'm reading Yash's comment here, that it's leads that is coming from SQLs are like outbound leads and MQLs are inbound leads. Is that correct? Yes. Andrea, are you reading it the same way?
Yes, and for me, I would honestly tell you, if you're a small organization, I would get rid of MQLs at all. I would just simply focus on sales qualified opportunities, because you are I think, right, maybe it's my definition of small organization, but for you it's way more important to focus on the real sales opportunities. And generally speaking, it makes more sense, because the real problem with MQLs is that a lot of companies have very bad definition of what MQL is, and most of them have broken playbooks what to do with this MQL.
Yeah, I was about to say, if it's a crap quality that is coming through as MQLs, then maybe it's your marketing you need to think a little bit about.
Yeah, so generally speaking, I mean, if when you say most of our MQLs have major budget restrictions, right? Even if we'll zoom out from definitions, MQL, SQL, for me, it's literally disqualification criteria. They can't afford your product, right? So they should be disqualified by default, and they can't be any lead not marketing, not sales qualified, not any qualified lead, right? So they should be disqualified at all. So that's probably the answer. That's it. That's it. It seems that we have covered everything. How did you like this session, guys?
Yeah, we can go all day if there's more questions.
Yeah, share with us, please, quick feedback or just your favorite emoji in the chat. Would be great to hear your feedback. But while you are posting, I would quickly summarize everything, right? When it comes to holistic attribution, the key point is making sure that you capture as much data as possible. The real problem, it's not even the problem like that you need to have a specific solution, right? Like Dream Data, whatever. The problem is that most companies don't have accurate tracking of all interactions with accounts. They don't capture this, interactions, engagement. They don't synchronize it in one place, and they deal with account blindness. With existing customers, with new logos, quite often we see that a lot of companies, they simply complain that, okay, account executive picks up account and has no idea what has happened before, right? How the teams were engaging with that specific account. The same with existing customers. So even without, end-to-end analytics, what you can do if you set up the appropriate tracking, and you'll do three things, right? You do self-attribution, you install any digital analytics that you can look, also including your marketing automation, sales automation, CRM, right? Tracking all the interactions, and customer research. That would be enough. Lastly, you need to have a good revenue report, right, where you can present the opportunities. And as a marketer, right, for you, what is really essential is analyzing what specific channels impacted the revenue metrics, right? Not revenue, but revenue metrics as win rate, as sales cycle length, and average contract value, because that way you can make better decisions. Would you add something, Steffen?
Wonderful. No, I think you hit it pretty well there, Andre.
Good. Then thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Steffen, for joining me. It was a fantastic discussion, as always, with our community. And see you in the upcoming events. Thank you as well for the feedback and for the great questions. Have a great rest of the week. Cheers.
Good day, guys.